Welcome to the Dream Team Tonic podcast. Our usual host, Tony, is otherwise engaged with a kids' party, so I'm hosting today. With me, as usual, I've got Ben. Are you there, Ben?
Hey, mate, you okay?
Yeah, all good, mate. And Scott, of course.
Good evening.
And a special guest, appearing once a month on the broadcast. We've got Fergie. Hello, mate.
Hello, gents. Great to be on again.
Cheers, mate. Right. Before we kick off, I'm just going to thank some new patrons that we've had. Thank you to Everin Wright, Lee Dog, and Kieran Marin. Right. So since you're the guest, Fergie, let's kick off with your team. How are you getting on?
I thought I was doing all right, but I'm looking at my leagues and looking at your guys' scores. It's not as good as yours, though. But I do have, I think, about 4 or 5 players that played tomorrow. But so far, I'm on 112 points overall, 28 for the game week. I still got Johnston and Saliba to play. I had Estepina, and he looks like an animal in this. Well, in every format, to be fair, don't he? So he looks really good. And I brought in Chilwell this week for his 1-pointer so far this afternoon, but it was more in preparation for next week and the week after. So I'm quite happy to have him. I did start with Timber, so I did a double move and I transferred out Timber for Chilwell. I've still got Saka to play. My second move was to bring in Eze for Havertz. So I thought to take a bit of a punt on Havertz. I thought it was a bit unlucky. I don't know what you guys thought. I think he played 90 minutes or close to, didn't he? And he spent the last quarter of the game up front, and I was quite hopeful of something. I had him in FPL as well, and yeah, it didn't quite work out. But I think he was going to drop and stuff. So I think Nketiah started up front. So I fancied Eze. So I've still got him to play tomorrow night. Bruno, 4-pointer. How he didn't score that header, I'll never know. And Martinelli as well. And then Haaland, I stuck with Rashford, and I had Pedro as well. So probably a template-ish team, to be fair. I think I've still got 5 to play. Is it 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to play. But I'm fairly happy with my team. And I suppose more importantly, I think the game is fantastic. I think the scoring system and the transfers a week offer a different dimension to any other game. And so far, even though I haven't got off to like an amazing start, especially looking at Scott's points in particular, really, really enjoying it, which is the main thing. So, how have you guys started off?
Well, let's see how you got on, Ben. You're up next.
Have you got violin music?
Got a violin for you if you want, mate.
Honestly,
Green Arrow look.
I'm looking for the music, but it's not coming to me. I didn't plan for that.
Well, I had my transfers all confirmed a few days before the deadline, and I went to a kids' party on Friday in the middle of Teesside Park, Hollywood Bowl, and you just check your teams, just see everything's all right, but the signal was really bad. Anyway, check me Sky, captain was on, check me Dream Team, checked everything basically. Anyway, left it, got home later on the night and looked at my team, and it was still the same as game week 1. I was like, what's going on here? I've got 3 transfers for next week. Oh, honestly. So, and to hit the nail on the head anyway, I had Mbumo to come in. He scored 2 goals, 15 points. And I had Henry to come in. He got 6 points, didn't he, as well? So I missed out on them points, and I've missed out on a 0.5 million swing as well in price rises. So I wanted to get rid of Garnacho. He went down 0.1, and I wanted to get rid of Havertz. He went down 0.1. So I'm hoping for a Havertz hat trick tomorrow.
Yeah. Pray for Havertz. Just hold up 1 second there, Ben. Let's see.
Hey.
No, we've cracked it. No, that's horrible. Well, at least we know what it's like to roll a transfer because none of us have tried it yet, have we? So you just put it down to you being the guinea pig, should we say?
Yeah. Should we? I was going to say there. I forgot what I was going to say there. Anyway, yeah, terrible.
It's
so
all on Havertz.
I've got. How many points did I get? Let's have a look. To be honest, like disheartened me this weekend. That has. Right, 32 points for the week so far. Yeah, Young 1 point, Dunk 3, Fernandes 4, Garnacho 3, Salah 14. I got the captaincy right out of my players anyway. Went for Salah, so 14 points. Haaland 4, Rashford 3, and I've got 4 players playing tomorrow. So I've got Johnston in goal, open for some save points. Saliba, Saka and Havertz. So hopefully I'll have a better day tomorrow.
There's nothing worse, Ben, than someone bemoaning a game week, saying how crap they've had and playing violin music, but you've still scored higher than I have, and I was actually quite pleased with my week. It's the worst.
Do you want me to play it for you as well, Fergie? No, I can't find it again. Who did you captain, Fergie? Did I miss that? Sorry.
Oh, Haaland. I played a bit safe. I didn't go for Salah because I don't think he's looked that good, in the past year or so. And I'd wanted him in and out, so I was kind of happy to take the risk of missing out on one game. It's fortunate, right? Because Haaland blanked. If Salah had scored, and not missed a penalty or he'd have a double return, they could have been in trouble. But I do think it's worth it when I know I'd wanted him kind of in and out to prepare for the following week. So I think got away with it, really, to be honest. So.
It wasn't that damaging either way, really, was it, to be honest?
No.
Overall.
Cool. What about you, Scott? How did you get on?
So I've had a good week actually so far. Wow. 63 points for the game week. 149 total. Still got Johnston to play in goal. Estepinian, he's just brilliant, isn't he? 11 points from him. Another really good game. I've got Saliba still to play. Chilwell, I brought Chilwell in this week. He was a bit disappointing. Was it a 59th minute sub, I think, today, wasn't it?
I thought it was 61 or something like that.
Yeah, someone in the Discord said 61. I think, let me just click on it here. Dream Team's put it down as 61. So 61 is not too bad. But it didn't really make much difference, did it, in the end? Then I've got Bruno, 4 points. Disappointing, really, again. He's probably going to get a drop for the second time. But he looks so close. That was the annoying part. So I think I'm still going to stick with him. Saka still to play. And then this is where most of the points come. I had Mbuemo, who I brought in this week, got me 15 points. And Matoma got me 13. Those two make up a massive chunk of the points, to be fair. Then Haaland up front with 4. Captain Salah, so he got 14. And then Pedro up front was a bit of a disappointment after the 10-pointer last week. I saw he was on the bench, check the lineups, and I was just like, for God's sake. The only plus, I suppose, that Enciso played well in his place, didn't he? I think he got 2 assists, but I think he went off injured. So maybe Pedro starts next week. But I've already got fed up with that. I think I'll just take the 10 points and run, I think, with him. But good week, to be honest.
Cool. Thomas' goal was unbelievable, wasn't it?
Oh, brilliant.
Japanese.
That's the thing I said, didn't I? Like, March is probably the better pick in terms of like stats, but in terms of putting in a player in your team and just watching and enjoying, it's just Matoma for me. They're both brilliant, to be honest.
Cool. I'm on 48 so far this week with three to play. So I've still got Johnston, Saliba, and Saka to play. We were just chatting before we went on air, and Fergie was saying you'd have to be mad to roll a transfer, and I sort of agree until I was looking at my team, and I just thought, I think I was in what you might call analysis paralysis. I could not decide what to do, and normally in fantasy football, when I if I can't decide what to do, rather than make a move for the sake of it, I would not make a move, particularly in other formats. Of course, in this format, if you don't make a move, you might gain a transfer next week, but you also lose one. So the thinking would be you would, because we get more extra transfers, you need to jump on, maybe be a bit more punty, like a one or 2 week pick. Honestly, I couldn't. Well, I was considering Diaz of Liverpool, and then I thought, well, he might get rotated, and so I didn't. I rolled a transfer because we don't have a great deal of information at this stage, and I thought, well, we've got a double game week coming up next week with the Carabao Cup. Maybe I can go big on Chelsea or potentially Spurs, watching a bit of Chelsea today, I'm thinking maybe that wasn't such a good move now, but I'm doing okay. I've had a average to okay start, not a bad one by any stretch. 48 points so far. I started the season with Chilwell because of Chelsea's fixtures coming up, and I wasn't scared of owning him against Liverpool because I'd seen them in pre-season. But unfortunately, he didn't return this week. Well, he got 1 point. Hickey got me 6. Fernandes 4. Anthony 5. Matoma 13. Foden, who I'm quite happy with, he looked pretty lively. Yeah. I'm hoping finally he's nailed in that side, or as nailed as he can be. Captain Haaland 8 points and Rashford 3. So yeah, not too bad a start really. Let's move on to the listener questions. So we've got a couple of lengthy ones to start with.
I shortened it down for the purpose of putting it on screen to those 2 points there. It was quite a wordy one, wasn't it?
Yeah. So how differently do you think we should be approaching transfers this season? Premium hopping, thoughts on burning transfers? Scott, do you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, like I know we were saying we couldn't see the point in rolling the transfer, but that is the exception that I would say. If you think you're going to end up making your team worse, I wouldn't do it for the sake of it. So I wouldn't be afraid to burn transfers if you think it's going to make your team worse, but I don't see the point in strategically rolling them at this point. I'm trying to, if I do have any spare or I'm undecided, I'm trying to make a change in favour of the price changes at the moment while it's early on to build budget. But as we've seen, the price changes are a little bit unpredictable compared to last year, aren't they? And then in terms of like premium hopping, moving around your premiums in terms of the fixtures, I'm not that keen on it, to be honest, because I got stung big time last year trying to hop between Kane and Salah, and I ended up missing hat-tricks on a couple of occasions. So I think if I go for the premiums, I think I'll try and stick with them, and not worry too much about the loss in value with those guys, because I think they're all priced fairly well. So I don't think any of them are going to plummet massively. I think with the premiums, I'm happy to keep hold of them.
Okay, cool. Ben, what do you think?
Regarding premiums, I agree with Scott about not hopping about, because like he said, he got burnt last year doing that, and I got burnt as well at some point, because I remember coming off a Kane to get in Skamaka because Skamaka was doing well, and to move money around in the team. And I've learnt my lesson from doing that. So this year I've gone 3 big ones up front, and I've got Saka and Fernandes in midfield. So I'm going to try not to jump around too much, just leave them in there for the season. Well, hopefully for the season. Rashford's not doing too good at the minute, but he's got a good fixture next week, so I might keep him. He's got Forest next week.
None of them are hauled, have they? None of the big boys have hauled massively yet.
Not massive
first day, but
they always do, don't they?
Yeah.
And definitely this season, it seems a bit more punty with having more transfers. It's like, what is it, 74 transfers or something daft if you use them all for the whole season. It's just too much.
50% increase on previous years in terms of numbers of transfers. It's quite a lot.
Yeah. So I'm trying to build budget, but like obviously I don't know what happened the other night. It's quite annoying that. Maybe it's because I went on when I was in the funny zone and it's just knackered the app up on me. I don't know, because I had the transfers were they were confirmed a few days ago. So before
You sent the screenshot. You sent the screenshot
That's it.
into the Discord with the team
I
reveal.
know. I did a voice note for the Hub WhatsApp group as well, telling what transfers I'm doing. No, nightmare.
I mean, there's a reasonable chance it could be a bug in the system. Obviously, it's completely new system, so I wouldn't be massively surprised if there was a bug in Dream Team. If anyone else has experienced issues, drop us a note at Dream Team Tonic, and if there's lots of you, then we can raise that with Sun Dream Team. Fergie, what do you think about David 87's question?
I think in terms of the transfers, I think it's massively different. Even getting used to like a weekly sort of cadence with transfer management now rather than monthly is massive. You can afford to look at a lot more kind of FPL week to week and kind of. I think you can target a bit more what's in front of you now rather than what we would have to normally do, which is think ahead a few weeks. So I think there's that. From I asked you guys before we started, like am I going mad, or is not using the 2 just it doesn't seem sensible not to use the 2, because if you saved for 2 weeks you'd end up with 4 transfers, whereas you could have 6 in the same time if you use them, and there's always going to be some kind of opportunity. This is what I mean about the short-term sort of thinking with it. Like even next week, just as an example, if you're struggling, there are teams that are going to have 2 really good games, and there are certain teams which come out of those games with good games after as well. So I'm sure someone will have a really good argument and prove me wrong, but at the moment I don't see any apart from maybe when we use the chips potentially, but I can't see any circumstance that I wouldn't use the 2 personally. I am quite an aggressive manager, so maybe it kind of helps where I play as well. I think in terms of the premiums and things, again, like we've only had like a week and a half's worth of data, but I think the game is, from what I can see, a bit different this year in terms of a hat trick, a Salah hat trick, a Kane hat trick. What we're always scared of, right? Used to be 28 points, which is not anymore. I'm not sure what it would be exactly. Maybe 20, is it, or something? With the shots on target and bits and pieces. So it's not. I don't think it's as scary as it once was. I don't think even a brace is as scary as it once was. Like I think Mbomo got 2 goals, didn't he, and 15 points, whereas a brace previously would have been guaranteed 18 points with the star man. So I think the fact that star man isn't in the game anymore, it does impact. And if you think like Haaland got 4 points from I'm assuming a couple of shots on target, or for a big chance, wherever it was. Rashford's got 3, even though he's done nothing. Bruno's got 6 and 4 from doing absolutely nothing in terms of what he would have got in the old Dream Team game. Whereas when Haaland scored his 2 goals, I think he got 14 points. So Haaland 14 against Bruno 6. For example, last season would have been Haaland 18, Bruno 0, or maybe 3. So I don't think the difference in points is as vast as it used to be. And I think because of that, I'm not as scared of going with, normally I'd have been petrified on the weekend of going without Salah. Absolutely petrified. But I wasn't that scared, because my thinking was worst case scenario is that, all right, say he gets a couple of goals and gets 14 points. I don't know, it's just not as scary as it used to be. So I suppose that's my thinking. And I am thinking actually this weekend of using my 2 transfers, of taking out Rashford and Pedro. These are very early thoughts, but this is like, kind of rage thinking. And go into maybe something like Jackson and Mbomo, for example. To go into like a 3-5-2 and only having basically 1 premium up front, but it doesn't scare me much anymore, I suppose. So yeah, it's very early, right? So I may be proved wrong on a lot of this stuff, but these are my really early thoughts. Is that don't think we need the premiums much we used to, and you can afford to chase rises on players as well. So,
Okay. Thanks, Fergie. I think we skipped Micus Waitus's question, so I think we'll do that one next.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. Go on, read it out. I've not got it up here.
So he says the scoring system is more complex this season and will definitely requires a different approach to what used to be the norm. Based on what we know so far, do you think any particular formation is looking more favourable? And also, what positions do you think are benefiting most from the new point system? Keep up the good work, lads. I've been with you from the start, before Patreon even existed. It's great to see the evolution of Dream Team Tonic. If anyone is thinking of signing up, do it. I guarantee it will go a long way in helping you win your mini leagues. Thanks, mate. We appreciate some nice feedback like that. That means a lot. So I did a bit of analysis on this one, and just to see where the spread, in terms of formation, where the spread of points were going. So if you look at players that got 4 or more bonus points, this is based on game week 1 data, because obviously we didn't have there's not a huge gap between Chelsea finishing, kicking off, and us podding. So I use game week 1 data. Obviously, it's very early days. We're not talking about a specific player here, though. So I think it is indicative. I don't see this changing massively. But please do, if any of you guys want to shoot me down with the stats that I quickly put together. But it's looking like midfield is benefiting the most, and certainly strikers the least. Only 3 strikers. Of course, there are less of those playing. We need to bear that in mind. But only 3 got 4 or more bonus points, whereas you look at 17 midfielders. But so it's obviously skewed by the fact that there's more midfielders. But I do think midfielders seem to be getting more benefit from the scoring system. And if you look at the player performance marks, is that PPM, not points per minute?
Yeah.
Is it player performance marks?
Yeah.
Yeah. You see this. You see a similar distribution where midfielders are benefiting most by those player performance marks, but not a lot. Those player performance marks, I've looked at the data. There aren't a huge amounts of those going around at the moment. There aren't many. There's only a few players hit. I think there was 2 players that hit the 5 tier for 5 extra points. So it's spread around. I think it's going to be quite difficult to target, to use PPM to target, but that's something we'll have to, we'll as the game weeks goes on, we'll learn more. We'll understand it a bit better. What do you think, Fergie? Do you think the point system points to maybe a different formation, maybe more midfielders, less strikers?
Are you talking just about the PPM? Sorry, or are you talking about all the kind of
just the whole new scoring matrix? Basically, I think what Micus is asking us is what sort of formation do you think suits the format best?
I think anecdotally, obviously, you've used the analysis, which is obviously better than anecdotal stuff. But I think from what I've seen so far on my team anyway, and I appreciate there's probably players like Trent and Trippier who are going to improve when their fixtures get better and things. Yeah. But I think 3 at the back at the moment for me looks the best. It's just shots on bonus. Shots on target, chances created, and things that you can see players who would not normally get the sort of point you would expect getting more really. So I personally think 3 at the back, and like I say, I've been on 3-4-3. I think we move into 3-5-2. I think, but that's just because you got players like Mbomo, who is a forward, who is classed as a midfielder and things. So I think for me, 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 early doors are what looks to be most optimal. I think the trend is carried on from last season. We're still not seeing as many clean sheets as we had in previous years as well. Only Man City really, I think at the moment are keeping cleans from the top team. So yeah, that would be my thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah, and also the games are longer now, aren't they, with the extra injury time?
Yeah.
There's possibility of more goals. I totally agree with the three at the back. But yeah, 3-4-3, 3-5-2. I think you pretty much covered it there, James.
Okay. Anything to add, Scott, on that one?
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd just say I think mostly I know the bonus is there, but I think the tackle points and the shots on target, big chances created, any sort of progress that they were going to maybe boost up with the player performance marks and bonus, I feel has just been completely cancelled out by the shots on target and big chances. Like we talked about, maybe a Paulinho or some of these CDMs racking up points for the extra bits, but the guys like Bruno Fernandes are going to just outscore them through shots alone. All the little bits that have been added are just going to cancel out the bonus, in my opinion, I think. So, yeah, I'd still say it's heavily weighted towards midfield and attack at the moment.
Did you see that Mateus Nunes got 3 bonus points again, even though he got sent off?
Again, yeah.
So he's got 8 points in 2 games just on bonus points.
Wow.
Yeah, there's definitely a few cropping up that look like they're going to be like almost like what we used to call like Starman magnet or 7 rating magnets. There's a few of them already popping up, isn't there? And I think we're going to come on to a few later on, but I think we will see a bit of that going on.
Yeah, every year we get a new Traore, don't we?
He's back, isn't he?
Yeah, he's back at Fulham.
He'll be up there.
You never know. Okay.
Still shit.
He's very fast though.
Yes.
Okay, Lee Hooper has asked us, what's thoughts on the first lot of price increases, decreases, and how they will impact the game going forwards this season? Scott, do you want to take that one first?
Yeah, I'd sort of put down that I thought they felt a little bit harsh to start off with. I was expecting a few more gains from the moves that I made, and I wasn't expecting them to be so harsh on the premiums. But yeah, it's been a tough one. But I think it does follow the same sort of system as before. It just doesn't seem as extreme either way. But looking at some of my players that I had, like Bruno got a -1 for 6 points, Salah minus 0.2 for 7 points, and then Saka just got a 0.1 gain for 11 points. So I'm thinking it's going to have to be double figures for these premiums to get rises, which, like we said before, might not be as easy to do. But yeah, first impressions, a little bit harsh, but I think it does still follow the same sort of idea.
Yeah.
I think you just got to look at the points they score and take 2 points off it, just because you get those 2 points for the appearance, don't you? For the over 60 minutes. And it also looks like that if you buy in players below 3.5 million, they seem to favour the price rises. Yeah. If they're over 3.5 million and they only score, say, 10, 11 points, they might only go up 0.1.
Yeah, the bar's lower. The bar's lower for these cheaper players, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that is interesting. I guess that kind of makes sense. The way, to do it like that.
Wan-Bissaka's gone up 0.3, and he was 3 million to start with. But then there's other players that are like 3.5 who scored similar points, and they just haven't gone up as much.
Yeah. Fergie, did you spot anything in the price changes that is worth noting?
I think just to the point earlier about, I'm not sure if we need as many premiums as we had in previous years. For the point I mentioned earlier, I think there's a gap in points. The gap is less now in points. Yeah. But also, if you are getting rewarded for your cheaper players doing well as well, if players like Salah scoring 7 points, how many did he score yesterday? Was it 7 again?
7, yeah.
Yeah.
So with that logic, is he going to get another minus 0.2. I mean, you're just losing
Yeah, I
value.
think we'll
even
go
though
down
you're
again. Yeah.
doing well. So, whereas like and Bomo and like I don't know if the game is trying to. I don't know if they're smart enough, but if they are, I think it's brilliant that they're trying to reward you for going for the cheaper picks and kind of and punish you for going for premiums. So, if that's the case, if you've got a team full of 4 or 5 premiums, unless they're banging in double-digit holes every week, your team value is going to tank. So I think that's really interesting actually, and a different, different sort of dynamic to the game. I think it lends itself again. My kind of Rashford and Pedro, because I had the big rise off Pedro, and Rashford will drop again now. Moving on to Mbomo and maybe Jackson, for example, could be a decent set of moves, not just for the points, but also potentially for value and stuff. So yeah, I do think they're harsh as well, Scott. But I also think like last year, I think it was ridiculously aggressive as well. I saw some teams having like, was it over 70 million team value? I mean that's crazy. That like I know there's benefit to if you're an engaged manager, it helped you massively, but to have potentially 5, 10, 15 million more than your opponent, I think is a bit
we had a whole team of premiums by the end, didn't we?
Exactly.
You could get more.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully this will kind of ward that off a little bit as well and keep it a bit more of a a level playing field. So, but yeah, other than that, I think it looks all right.
Okay. Moving on to Dream Team Patrick's questions. He probably wrote these questions. I know he wrote these questions before Chelsea played today. Sterling for game week 3. Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, I was considering Sterling before today, just because I'm not sure about moving off Rashford because of the Forest game. So I was thinking, how can I get a Chelsea attacking player in my team? And I was looking at Sterling, and he's gone and got 5 bonus points today, even though he lost. I think he got 8 points today. Did he? Look, is it 8 points?
But, he was already on 3 bonus in the first half.
Wow.
Yes, he played really well, didn't he? So yeah, he's one I'm considering definitely. Like I say, I didn't want to really take Rashford out, so he might be one I bring in, or go for Mbomo again because he should rise again, shouldn't he? And he's got two nice fixtures, but will he play in both games? That's the only problem.
That's the age-old question with the first rounds of the Carabao Cup, really, isn't it?
Yeah. I did look back at his history in the Carabao Cup, and he didn't seem to come on. There was one FA Cup match where he came off the bench and scored a hat-trick, though. So you never know.
So they've, I wouldn't be massively surprised if he played both. I mean, I do wonder if when you've got a new manager in there trying to get their ideas across, perhaps there's a better chance when it's a new manager that there'll be slightly less rotation because he wants to get momentum and get that team fluidity, going. Yeah. But who knows? It is guesswork,
especially after this defeat today.
Yeah.
Fergie, are you a Spurs fan? Because you might know. How did Pochettino go about these cups? Do you think was he normally going quite strong for them?
I think so. Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, but we were in Europe as well, so that's like a different sort of thing. I think I guess we'd see a mixture. I think if. I think it depends on the Luton game. I'd expect them to beat Luton sort of comfortably. If they don't, there's a case for an argument for both. Get their confidence up. But then on the same note, there's a thing of if they give some fresh legs a chance. I've got a big squad. I also think though, looking at the fixtures, I think there's 3 teams. I'd include Chelsea, Brentford, and Palace in this, who they also come out of next week with a really good fixture going into game week 4 as well. All home games, plum fixtures. So even if they do miss out, I don't think it's the end of the world, because they go at like Chelsea are going home to Forest, Brentford home to Bournemouth, and Palace home to Wolves. So I personally think it's worth a risk on those 3 teams, just for the fact that even if they do miss out, they walk into a really nice fixture after, personally. So
Cool. Scott, what are your thoughts on Sterling for game week 3, or have you got your eye on potentially some other Chelsea players?
No, to be honest, he's caught my attention, because I had one eye on that Chelsea game for choosing someone, but I was looking at Gusto, I was looking at Colwill, I was looking at Jackson, and it was Sterling really that performed, wasn't it? None of those guys done particularly well in this game. So yeah, I'll have a think about it. Who he'll replace, I'm not too sure at the minute, but yeah, he's definitely caught my attention at the minute.
Okay. Patrick's second question is, when are you planning to play your chips? Fergie, have you given that any thought?
I haven't. No, I did very, very briefly. I think I can't remember who it was. If it was one of you guys or someone else. But if you're scared of Salah, play it this week. I don't know if it was you, Scott. Was it?
Yeah, I might put that in for the. Was it the 12th man, or was Max?
Yeah,
captain?
that's well. I had the very briefest thing, but I thought no, but no, I haven't at all. I think I'd like to get to grips with the game a bit more first, and I'm sure there's going to be some optimal time in the second half of the season when there's loads of double game weeks and rearranged games where you're going to want to pile into certain teams. So yeah, later in the season for me.
What about you, Ben? Any thoughts on chip strategy at this early stage?
Possibly when the European games start, we'll see the group stages.
Yeah.
We'll see if there's any plum fixtures in the group stages. I might possibly use some then. But I agree with Fergie as well. When the rearranged games at the end of the season, there's double game weeks as well. So if you don't use them at the start of the season, you can use them at the end.
Yeah.
Like normally in FPL, you keep them to the end of the season, don't you? But we got the European games as our double game weeks, haven't we?
Yeah. Anything to add on that one, Scott?
No, I'd put the same. I'll probably wait for those first draws in Europe, and then see if anyone's got a nice home tie first, and then a good fixture after that, I think. But yeah, it's going to be doubles for all of them, isn't it? Ideally.
So the only thing I was thinking along the same lines, probably either rearranged games at the end of the season, or Premier League ones, that is, or Champions League fixtures, because the trouble with the Europa League and the Europa Conference League, of course, is you're never sure which team's going to be put out. Yeah. So I would be when the Champions League draw's done, I'd be if a particular team's got a couple of plum fixtures, but they're probably still going to go strong, that might be the time to start thinking about it. But yeah, once that Champions League draw's done, I think we'll probably revisit this and just see if there's anything that stands out as a potential option for maybe using one or two of those chips.
I guess we'll then have the problem, if a nice double does come up, we'll then have the problem of trying to decide what chip is going to be best for it as well. Yeah. We're saying we're waiting for the doubles, but then it's trying to decide whether it's going to be a defensive game or whether it's going to be a toss-up between like a Salah and Haaland. It's hard, isn't it? Until you get more information.
Perhaps with the max captain, maybe later in the season, if you've managed to build a bit more budget and you've got a few more heavy hitters, that might be a better time to play it, because you would think with more premiums, you've got more chance of getting a bigger haul.
Someone might really be on fire as well then.
Yeah, exactly. Or you don't, you're like, who the hell do I captain? They could both be explosive this week. Maybe that would be a time. Yeah.
Also, sorry, mate. I was just going to say also, later on in the season, teams start to get a bit more defensive, don't they? When they've got something to hold on to, maybe that would be a good time to do the part of the bus.
Yeah. Obviously, with the part of the bus, I think you're going to have to identify that opportunity a bit earlier, so that you can probably load up on 5 at the back.
Yeah.
If you really want to maximize that chip. So that's quite an interesting one, I think. It'll be interesting. Some people could get some monster scores. If you hit that sweet spot with that chip, I think that could be quite profitable.
Yeah,
so it'll be interesting to see.
Do you think Game Week? They've announced, if anyone that's watching haven't seen it already, they've said that you'll be able to see each other's teams from Game Week 3, which is a question we keep getting a lot. They're going to make a fix so that you can see each other's teams. Do you think we're going to be able to see what chips have been used, or if a chip's been used, or is it going to just be the team? We don't know the answer, but what do you guys think?
I would think if you're going to show the team, then you would show whether the chip had been used. It'll be after the game weeks. You won't get to see their team before the game week deadline. So I don't see any reason why you wouldn't provide that. I mean, it creates banter. You can go, to use one of Fergie's terms, you've spaffed that chip. Or, it creates banter and intrigue. So I think it would be a mistake not to include that personally if you're going to show the team. Yeah. Cool. Moving on. Question from Lee Doc. Who are you targeting for the game week 3 double game week? Ben, you like a double game week? What do you think? Got any targets in mind?
Well, like I said, Sterling's on my mind. Maybe a Spurs asset, Mbumo. I've got 3 transfers now, haven't I? Go wild. Yeah, I haven't gone looking deep into it, to tell you the truth, but yeah, I'm definitely Spurs, Brentford and Chelsea assets.
Because Spurs have got 2 away games. So, Fergie, do you think should that be playing into? I mean, it's too early to tell, I suppose. Have you got any insights, being a Spurs fan, as to whether you think that might be a bad move? I guess it's a bit early to say, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure it'd be a bad move. I think the only thing I would say is that I think there are better opportunities because Maddison may be injured. If Maddison's injured, we're not sure. Is Richarlison going to play the both up front? He was brought off early yesterday. If you're thinking of like Son and Kulusevski, I think that there's a lot of players knocking on the door with Spurs as well. And similar to Chelsea, it may be a case of they may or may not play. When they come back, they're away to Burnley, and obviously they don't have Europe. So, like I said, I'm probably not as keen on Spurs, as Ben. As I said, I think the 3 teams that I would personally look to target are probably Chelsea, Brentford, and Palace, and that's because the fixtures are really good, but they also come out of it with a really nice home fixture as well. Because we're very likely going to want to come in and in and out of these guys. So players like Eze, maybe Vissa, maybe Mbumo, maybe Jackson, or maybe someone like that. To practically guarantee 2 out of 3 nice fixtures, a potential for minutes in a third as well, and then you can hop off them as well. I would personally prefer that than Spurs, and because we got to remember we're going to want to get off these guys again in 3 or 4 weeks as well. In 3 or 4 weeks as well. So they're the teams I would target a little bit more personally.
Any thoughts, Scott, that we haven't covered on that one?
Yeah, same sort of teams, but like I said, I was looking at Gusto and Colwill. Now I don't know whether today has changed my thinking on that, or whether to just go with it, because I mean they're still 2 pretty good fixtures, aren't they, for Chelsea?
Yeah.
Who is it? Luton, and was it Wimbledon?
Yeah,
at home, and then they've got a really good run still. So if they do well, you're going to keep them. Vissa as well, who you mentioned. I don't know if he'll get 2 games though. I like him. He fits for a swap for Pedro. But I listened to the interview after match of the day, and he was saying after replacing Tony's goals, he said he knew that Mbuemo could do it. He knew Vissa would do it. Also Sharda, he said Sharda and forgot the other guy's name, Potter.
Yeah.
Lewis Potter.
Lewis Potter. He said both of them in training are scoring goals for fun. So I imagine that he's going to give one or both of them a run out in that one. So that's going to be tougher. On the Spurs thing, though, I had written down Son. He hasn't been like great at the minute, but looking at that Man United game, there looked like a few chances that he would have normally hit it first time, and someone just pinched it off his foot a couple of times. I kind of like that as a punt. And then if it does pay off, you will keep him, I think, for that good run of games. But it would be a punt because his points haven't been great so far, and he's probably going to lose value.
I think he's been playing. I think he's been hugging the touchline a bit. I know the chance you're on about, and I only know because I had a bet on it yesterday for one shot on target, and he let me down because that one he had Shaw blocked it, didn't he?
Yeah.
But he didn't have a shot on target yesterday. I think he's playing very, very on the wing, so he's not the one I'd go for if I did swap him.
They did swap him, didn't they? In the second, I think they took Richarlison and put him through the middle.
Yeah, that's right.
Whether they'll do that or whether he'll get 2 games is hard to know, really. I know it's not a double game. I know it's 4 game week 3, but I was thinking maybe of just ignoring it and going for like a Foden or an Alvarez because that Sheffield United fixture still does look really good. Yeah, and they were both purring, weren't they, that game?
Cool. Thanks, Scott. Ryan Drivers sent us a question. Thoughts regarding transfers. Are you targeting fixtures or price rises or a combination? Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely a combination of the two. That's why I was thinking of Brentford. That's why I was looking at Henry and Mbeumo, because I thought they'd go up in price, and they had a decent fixture this week, and they have decent fixtures further on as well if I want to hold on to them. So yeah, look at that basically. Look at the fixtures. Look who you think's going to go up. If you want to get value to go up, but if you go in for, I mean, you can bring in Chelsea players, couldn't you, this week? But they're probably going to go down. But if you bring Malagusto, well, do you know what that means in Spanish? Malagusto.
No, go on, Ben.
It means
even though I'm learning Spanish, I don't know what that is.
Even though he's French, he's got a Spanish name. It means bad taste. So you got a bad taste in your mouth after this fixture today, didn't you? If you had it Malagusta. So but if they're low in price like Colwill and Malagusta, they'll probably only go down 0.1. So maybe you could eat that and just get them in for the next week.
Yeah, interesting thoughts. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I still think it is worth trying to go the price rises early on. I know they're not as big as before, but I had a look and my team value had gone from 50 to 50.7 after game week 1. So I mean, if we can do that week on week, it would be quite nice, and we would progress quite well. But at the minute, I'm trying to just do price rise, but they've got to have a good fixture after.
Yeah, and the premiums are coming down in price, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean Trippier and Trent.
Yeah,
we might get Trippier and Trent at a really good price by the time their fixtures get better.
Yeah. Tony's got a premium defender, hasn't he? I think he's got Trippier at the moment. Yeah. He was thinking about moving to Trent. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see what he does with that. Anything to add on that one, Fergie? I think you kind of touched on it already.
No, all good.
Okay. Matt Woolley, our friend Matt Woolley, who writes some great articles for Dream Team Tonic for us. It feels that so far everybody is using 2 transfers a week. Did any of you roll transfers last week, and are you considering rolling this week? Well, I did. Ben did unintentionally. I thought I did, as I said earlier in the pod, I wasn't sure what moves to make. I didn't want to. I felt my team was pretty well set up. It's early in the season, not much data available, and it does give me that option of target, having 3 for that double game week. But picking the right players is always going to be a bit of a minefield with that Carabao Cup. I think later in the season, rolling transfers so that you can use the defensive chip.
Yeah.
Might be an idea. So you can do it in like one hit. I don't know. Obviously, Fergie's given his thoughts on this one already. Does anyone have anything to add on that in terms of rolling a transfer?
No, I think we covered it, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. David87 says, stick with Bruno or use those funds to move to Foden and Diaz if you're not already holding them. What do you think, Fergie? You're going to stick with?
I think I'd leave it this week. There's no extra fixture next week for Foden or Diaz, and it's home to Forest. And it's not like Bruno hasn't been involved in the play. Like I say, he could have very easily had a goal and an assist yesterday, potentially even a penalty as well. I think he's got a bit of a hole waiting to happen, and he has got multiple avenues to point. So I think this week I wouldn't do it. Home to Forest is as good as it gets. Yeah. But maybe again, if United look stale against them, then potentially move off. Like I say, if I'm not sure how much Diaz is, I'm assuming he's probably about 4.5. Is he?
He was 4 at the start of the season. Yeah.
I saw they might have come off injured, perhaps. On the sofa score, he had a little medical sign next to him, so we'll have to check that.
Okay. I missed that. I didn't spot that one. I was tempted with that move, but I've got loads of 3.5 million midfielders, so there wasn't an easy swap for me. Although we've obviously got 2 transfers, which does make it significantly easier than previous seasons. Yeah,
I think the only thing with Bruno, I'd be tempted to stay with him above a lot of the other premiums, is he has got multiple ways of scoring points, and because he's such a 90-minute man, I can see him playing a lot in Europe as well.
Yeah.
Whereas you can't say that for Man City players and stuff. It's going to be pure rotation. Whereas I can't see Bruno on the bench in Europe. If they're playing the 6 games, I'd imagine he would start maybe 4 or 5 of them personally. But yeah.
Especially if they're not flying yet, are they? United, they've not fully taken off, have they? So
no.
Yeah, they've not looked great so far, have they? Ben, anything to add on that one?
No, I think Fergie covered it pretty well. Like he says, he's got loads of avenues to points, and also he's on set pieces, so he's on penalties. Yeah. So he's going to be one of the highest scoring players in the game, I think, this year. So I wouldn't like to move off him.
It's a bit early, isn't it?
Look at the game yesterday. I think they should have had a penalty. How was that not handball? I don't know. And that header he missed from 6 yards out. I mean, if you look at the positions he took up for those, he would have had the penalty. I think there was also another miss where he put in a good cross and someone headed over or straight to the keeper.
Yeah.
Off of Casemiro, so that would have been an assist as well. So he's really, really involved. He just hasn't got the returns yet that his players deserved, I don't think.
Okay. Ryan Driver says, who are you planning to captain this week? In his mind, this week's debate is Haaland versus a double game weeker, such as Mbeumo or Jackson. Any thoughts on the captaincy this week, Scott?
I tried my luck this week and went away from Haaland. I'm not pushing it. I'm going Haaland for this one. I don't think Sheffield United have looked great. And even though Salah did come out on top, not by much, but it wasn't a pleasant experience, to be honest, watching it. The whole day I was thinking about it. So I'm just going to stick it back on Haaland. Take the small win this time round and just stick it on Haaland, to be honest.
Yeah. So obviously, I'd love to go to a casino with you, Scott. You're obviously a very sensible. I think you'd be a sensible gambler. Fergie, what do you think? Are you gonna roll the dice, or are you gonna stick with Haaland?
I haven't given it any thought yet. I gotta be honest, but my initial instinct, if I was playing FPL, there's no way I'd go for a single game week player. And looking at the fixtures, I think the best set of fixtures are probably Chelsea, home to Luton, home to Wimbledon, was it we said?
Yeah.
Brentford's home to Palace, who are fairly decent at the back. Palace away to Brentford, away to Plymouth. So I'd probably say Chelsea have got the best fixtures. As we said, we don't know who's going to play, but I don't know. I think if I held Sterling or maybe Jackson, like Sterling, what's Sterling's averaging? How many points a game now? 9, and he hasn't 8 or 9. He hasn't done anything yet, has he?
That's a very good point.
If he plays in both games, doesn't do anything, that could be 15, 16 points, double to 30. If he plays the second game, it's the big if. I think the big gamble would be Jackson. You know, I think he's looked incredibly sharp. Again, his points maybe don't match how he's played. So that's the problem. He's averaging 2.5 a game. I think we're tempted with Sterling. I've got to be honest. Think if Sterling's averaging what 7, 8, 9 points a game, he should get that against Luton. Just that. And you know, we've already seen if Haaland scores 2 goals, like he did in the opening game, he got 14 points, and that's for scoring 2 goals. And Sterling got 8 or 9 for doing nothing. I do think there's a good argument there for that.
What are your guys' thoughts on maybe a Chelsea defender for captaincy this week? I mean, possibly Chilwell, but he did. The concern there, of course, is he came off early this week. We presume that was a tactical change. We've not heard anything different. Given his injury record, is he going to be risked in 2 of those fixtures? I'm not sure he will be. That's the dilemma, isn't it?
A lot of choice as well at the back. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, I guess Cucurella playing in the cup.
Sorry?
I can imagine Cucurella playing in the cup.
Yeah, that's a good point. Surely he'll get that game. It makes sense, doesn't it?
That's the worrying thing of the wingers as well. They've got Mudryk.
Yeah,
they've got Mudryk. They've got is it Madueke, who didn't? Both of them were on the bench and didn't play. Yeah. So they've got a few options.
Yeah, I wonder if given the depth of Chelsea's squad, perhaps it might be worth steering clear.
Usually, like, your star players don't play in the early rounds of the cup, but you'll have a player that's like in the first team, but he's not like an indispensable player. So what about Chukwuemeka Emeka? He played today, didn't he? 1.5 million or something like that. He scored today. I mean, it's a risky one, but
he went off injured. I would say that, yeah. But yeah, other than that, he's looked really good, haven't he? It's just the average points to get. Well, actually, Dream Team hasn't updated yet with the average points to include today's games. But again, looking at the average points, if Sterling scored 5.5, no, you can't. You can't score 5.5, can you? If he scored, I don't know. I think the average points, even over 2 games, can give a really good indication of who's going to score well, especially if they haven't scored any goals or assists yet, really. Say Sterling, for me, looks the man, because if he gets a goal on top of all that, flipping it, you could be looking at 13, 14, 15 points just for 1 goal.
Yeah.
And it's the early game on Friday as well, Chelsea. So we probably get a team leak.
You will. Yeah. He'll play against Luton, won't he? Anyway, it's the midweek game is the one, isn't it? That's the one we're scared about.
Does Emmanuel Dennis make you worried about having a double game week captain over Haaland?
That hurt. Yeah, that hurt for sure. I remember that. Captained him.
Got a red card, didn't he?
He did. Swine.
Sort of touched on this already. Moving on to Oz's question. Is it time to ditch the premiums? I don't know. What do you think, Ben?
Well, I like to have all the premiums.
You started big up top, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got 5 premiums in my team at the moment, so I don't think I'm going to be moving off them this week, just because of the fixtures are decent for the United ones I've got. So I mean, they've got Forest this weekend coming, so yeah, I'm going to be keeping them.
Okay.
They're usually the highest scoring players at the end of the season, aren't they? So
yeah, that's true. But yeah, we are slightly in uncharted waters here this season. Fergie, anything to add on that one? I know you sort of intimated that perhaps this year the premiums aren't as important as maybe they.
I think so. I think obviously when Liverpool's fixtures improve, the next two, I think, is it Newcastle and is it Villa or something? I think I'd go with the fixtures. So I think as soon as Liverpool's fixtures improve, I tend to go for Salah. But you'd normally go for Salah regardless, wouldn't you? And Kane, if you could afford them all, regardless of who they're playing, just because of their massive potential when they do score. Yeah. But I don't think it's there anymore. So I'm pretty tempted to. I've got I'll have Bruno, Haaland, and Saka. And I think for me at the moment that feels enough because of all the value elsewhere. The players who are scoring well, the potential players in Pedro and Richarlison and Jackson are just ridiculously cheap. Vissa's like 2.2 million and Mbomo's 3.7. I think there's enough value elsewhere this time of the season to look elsewhere.
Anything to add on that one, Scott?
No, I think I'm going to stick. I think I'm going to stick with my premiums, and if I do get rid of one for like a double game week or something like that, I think I'm going to keep the money behind, because something I've struggled with on all the fantasy games, to be honest, is once I do lose the premiums, I mess up the structure and I struggle to get them back. So if I do it, I'll probably just take one out, keep the money, and go back again. But that's about it.
Okay, cool. Ben Coles has been on asking a question on Discord. Is it time to load up on City? Maybe bypass these Carabao Cup games and guess who's going to start? Well, you could end up with no fixtures, couldn't you? That's the problem, instead of two. Yeah, that's a tricky one. Any thoughts, Fergie, on that one?
I don't think, even though City look fantastic as a team, they certainly don't look as dynamic and free-flowing going forward as they have done. I think they're missing, they're missing now Gundogan, Mahrez, De Bruyne. They're three massive misses. So I think Foden and Alvarez are two I'd be tempted by, but I'm just sure they're going to play. I don't know. I just think there's better options for this next week or two. Personally, I think the Carabao Cup games historically as well. The year I won it, I had Havertz for his first game for Chelsea, and he played midweek and scored like a random hat-trick against Barnsley. And Calvert-Lewin scored a hat-trick midweek as well in the Carabao Cup, and that got me off to an absolute flyer. So there are these random big scores available that can fly you up the rankings, whereas you could be sat with Foden, who hasn't even got a game, and may not even play in the one game he's supposed to play in. So at the moment, I would say no. As soon as Europe starts, I would say yes.
Yeah. I mean, with all these extra transfers we've got now, I think I'm going to have to change my playing style a bit. I'm notoriously cautious, but you can afford to punt a bit more now. It's not even a punt really. It's a calculated risk, I would call it. You can there's some potential gains to be had. They may not all pay off, but you can back out of those pretty quickly with all these extra transfers.
Because all these
sorry, Fergie.
Sorry, just finally, because all these teams are not in Europe as well. It's not like they're like swimming in fixtures either. This is just going to be the one extra game that they have for the next month or 2 months until the next round of the Carabao Cups. It's not as if they do rest them, it'll be resting them to give other people games rather than rest them because they're tired. So I do think a fair few high profile players will get the 2 games personally.
Yeah. Anything to add on that one, Scott?
I'm still 50-50, to be fair, because from the start of the game, I really wanted to have Foden in. Then the Community Shield happened. It put me off having him. Then the first game came out, and I was still not quite sure. And then he was just so good that last game. I'm feeling a bit like if he's not going to start a run of games now, when is he? To be fair, so I am liking the look of either a Foden, a Kanji, or a Foden Walker, or go the other way and go Foden Alvarez. But I'm just completely not sure at the minute because I still got Son on my mind and Vissa as well. So yeah, I'm on the fence. I'm still not sure which way to go, but I'm starting to feel like with these 2 games we've had from City, I feel like we've got at least a little bit of information now.
I don't think I even need to ask Ben the answer to this question because I know it already. Ben, you're not going to load up on City and ignore a double game week, are you?
No. Well, it's getting a bit like FPL now with these deadlines. So, Man City notoriously you don't know who's going to play. Look at the first game of the season. Grealish was nailed last year, and he didn't even start. He didn't even play, did he?
Yeah.
In the first game. So that scares me a little bit about having City assets. I mean, now KDB's injured. Foden surely should be in that team now a bit more often, but yeah, it's tricky. I probably won't be loading up on City this early in the season anyway, just because we don't know the nailed lineups. And obviously, Chelsea's got a plum fixture, and I like Tottenham's little run, and Brentford as well. So, yeah,
they're doubles into good games as well, aren't they? Double game week, then good fixtures.
Yeah,
double whammy. You can also bank the price if they do get price rises. You're not worried about banking them, are you? Like if you had someone for 1 week and you want to move them out, if they do well, you've got to keep them, haven't you? The next week now to get the rise. So it doesn't look like Chelsea Spurs could be safe.
It's an interesting dynamic, that, isn't it? Because you might bring a player in for 1 week and he does well, but then you think, well, the plan was to take him out, but then of course you miss out on the price rise. So I don't know if I've cracked that code myself yet. It's a different way of thinking. I think possibly you need to be thinking for 2 games.
Yeah,
the answer, not just the one.
To get the price rise afterwards.
Yeah, and a decent fixture afterwards. That's probably the key, isn't it?
And
then you can move off because you've banked it price wise. I don't know. Okay. Right. Time to now.
Oh, I missed someone.
Surprise question. Okay. Aman, form over fixtures. Time to take Rashford out due to another price rise fall. Scott, what do you reckon?
Yeah, it's tough. Well, I haven't got the Rashford problem, but I've got the same applies to Bruno, really. He's probably going to fall again after this week, isn't he? But he's got a good fixture coming up. I think I probably will keep Bruno for this Forest game. So it's probably fixtures over form. But then how short term are we thinking? Because he's got the form over the last few seasons, hasn't he, Bruno? But yeah, I'd say just go for the fixtures still, especially with the premiums.
Okay, cool. What do you think, Fergie?
I think I'm taking out Rashford this week. I'm going for the quantity of fixtures. I think I think with Bruno it's different because he scored 6 and 4, even though he hasn't done anything really. Whereas Rashford's he scores lower points. So I think Rashford to someone like Jackson or Mbeumo or someone, to me, even if Rashford does score or even scores a couple of goals against Forest, which I don't think he will, because I don't think I think Forest are actually reasonably decent and United look cack at the moment. Then I still think Mbeumo or Jackson or whoever else can kind of match him over the 3 fixtures. Bear in mind, they go out into another good fixture as well. So I'm not scared about it personally. Not with Rashford. I wouldn't obviously to take a Haaland or anything like that, but Rashford, I'm not massively scared, to be honest.
He's not doing well up front, is he? He's much better on the left.
I think he's had 1 shot on target in both games so far, which is nothing to be scared about, is it?
Ben, anything to add on that one?
At the moment, I'm keeping Rashford, but Fergie's convincing me.
Don't do that. He's banging a hat-trick in now, mate.
I know, that's the thing. If he scores, I'll be so gutted. But if he scores a hat-trick or something, I don't know. I think I'm going to stay on Rashford at the minute, yeah. Just that fixture's good. Forest at home. Could see a few goals in that game.
Wolves at home was a good fixture as well, mate.
Yeah. But Wolves are notoriously...
And even Spurs away. Even Spurs away was good. Like, they've scored 1 goal in 2 games against 2 really, really poor defences.
Good point.
Scott, do you have anything to add on that one?
Oh, I've been.
He's keeping Bruno.
Yeah.
If I had Rashford, I'm not so sure, but
So, do we have any questions in the chat, Scott, that we want to run through?
no, we've got Connor sending cigarette emojis at you at the minute.
Connor?
A bit of stick there from Connor. No, that's about it. Who was the next one? Because I missed the question. Well, this was a surprise question. So who have you got next? Have you got
I've missed off the OneNote. It was on there. It was my fault. I realised that. I think we've nailed all the questions now, though. Unless you've got any other ones.
Just got a couple more. Maybe these came in a little bit late. There's just 3 more. I don't think it should take too much longer.
Are you doing questions that came after my deadline, Scott?
Oh, possibly. We should get people. We should get people in the. We should get people in the habit of sticking to these deadlines, seeing as they've become a lot more strict.
That is the idea.
Oh, we'll let Ryan off. We'll let Ryan off here.
Okay, Ryan says, based on what you've seen so far, who's finishing in the top 4? And that was one that came in on time, so apologies, Ryan. Right, you're gonna stick your neck out, boys, and come up with some predictions. Fergie, let's see what's your top 4 for the Premier League this year.
I'm going to go. I got a couple of rogue ones, I think. I'm going to go Man City. Obviously, they're not rogue. And Arsenal. But I'm going to go for. I think Newcastle and Brighton are both going to finish above United and Liverpool and Chelsea and all that lot. Maybe out of those, I think that from what I've seen so far, and that is the question, what we've seen so far, I think that Chelsea will probably finish ahead of both Liverpool and Man United and Spurs as it stands. I think if Spurs, I like the look of Spurs. I just don't think, I'm not sure they're going to score enough goals without big number 9. But being a Spurs fan, it was an absolute pleasure to watch yesterday. Bissouma's an absolute animal. What a footballer he is.
Yeah, he wasn't really starting before, was he? It's nice to see he's finally getting a bit of a run.
Yeah. I think Brighton, though, I just think De Zerbi and the players they've got and their recruitment.
Oh, it's great.
Who's going to stop him? Man City will stop him. I'm not sure anyone else will stop him.
Yeah. Ben's still working his out, I can see. So we'll go to Scott.
I did City top, Arsenal second. I think we've seen a pretty similar thing to last season with those two to start off with. Hopefully tomorrow goes to plan. Although it's been a bit of a mix with Liverpool, I've gone Liverpool third now. Okay. Even when you're not playing great, like yesterday wasn't particularly great, but still got it done, didn't you? Big time. And then fourth, actually, I would have easily put United into top 4, and they probably still will, but I've actually stuck Spurs in fourth. I've been well impressed.
Okay.
With Brighton and Newcastle, I'm just not sure how they'll get on once Europe kicks in as well.
That's fair. It's
all going to be new, isn't it? Newcastle may struggle a little bit more, but Brighton just seem like they just take one player out, put another player in, and they play brilliantly. So, yeah, Brighton could be a surprise. They've just got depth now, haven't they, as well?
Yeah, but Brighton will go to Everton and lose 4-1. So that's the thing with Brighton.
Yeah.
They're not consistent.
You're still bitter about that, Ben, aren't you?
I'm still bitter about that. To be honest, I'm glad we've gone down. It's a bit of a breath of fresh air being in the Championship. Playing Enzo ball now. We're playing some good football now. So City, Arsenal, and then I think Liverpool. And then the last spot, I'm going to go for Chelsea. I just think with not being in Europe and concentrating more on the league, I think, they've had a bad result today, but it's 36 games still to go. So, yeah. Newcastle have got a good chance, though.
I've upset my dream team tag team partner. Sorry, Connor.
Oh, dear.
Just as I said that, he put that on the...
Okay. I went for City, Arsenal, Brighton, and Liverpool. Although, I mean, I don't know, the transfer window's still open, so it's difficult to say. I mean, United looks short, but we don't know what the new striker's going to do. Rashford moving back to the left. The jury's out to a degree, but right from what I've seen so far, that'll be my 4 picks, I think.
Isn't it strange how when a player's playing up front in fantasy, we're like, oh yes, get him in, he's playing up front now. But Rashford's playing worse up front than he does when he plays out wide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a few like it though, aren't there? Like when there's a few games where Salah sort of played down the middle at times, wasn't there? And he's just not made out for it. Some players, these guys that just cut in, doesn't seem to suit them.
Did anyone see yesterday how Luke Shaw just inexplicably just kept letting the right winger Kulusevski just in behind him all the time? Didn't even he literally was almost like roll out the red carpet, let him have it. And I just think if that's the mentality of the United defense with Onana, he's a good keeper. I'm sure he'll do well, but Martinez is just like a flying red card, isn't he? And Varane is class. Wan-Bissaka I really like as well, but that left hand side with Shaw and Martinez just looks a bit. It just looks a bit weak. I can't see him keeping loads of clean sheets unless they improve. But yesterday, the amount of times Kulusevski went down the right-hand side completely unopposed was absolutely bizarre, and it ended up with the goal as well, didn't it? So, but anyway, sorry, just I
was surprised by that though, because they're one of the back lines that, apart from obviously the new keeper, is pretty consistent with last season.
It is.
And they were good. And they were good at the back last season.
I just don't understand what happened yesterday. They just kept letting them in time and time again. It was really strange.
The only difference is that the guy in the double pivot, isn't it? Mount's in there now. Whereas before,
bring back Fred.
Yeah, Fred or McTominay. McTominay might be getting back in.
Yeah.
I'd love to see McFred come back.
I liked Fred. I thought he was underrated. I thought he took a lot of grief. I actually quite liked him, but he's gone now, hasn't he? Sadly.
Yeah, clearly Ten Hag's going to have to figure out how to fit Mount into that system. They paid a lot of money for him, so it's not working at the moment. Casemiro's that's the trouble. I'm about to say these 30-year-old holding midfielders. Liverpool just gone out and bought one. It smacks slightly of desperation. Let's hope his legs don't go mid-season.
Klopp said he was a late bloomer, didn't he?
Sorry?
Klopp said he was a late bloomer.
Well, let's hope so. Because we need a number 6 desperately.
We're re-signing Milner in January.
Wouldn't be
we have
surprised.
a chat question.
He was playing right back for Brighton, wasn't he? According to my football app, at least. I didn't actually see the game.
I think he plays like an inverted right back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we've got a question from Connor. Does Fergie think Basuma will play the double?
I don't know. Like in the last week before the season started, Spurs played their strongest team on the Sunday, and then they played Barcelona midweek, and Basuma played in that team as opposed to their strongest team. But I think Basuma now in 2 games, for those who've watched those games, is basically become that whole engine of that whole team. He basically dictates the whole way Spurs play. He fetches the ball off all the back 4. He links the player. He's breaking the player. I don't know is the answer. He's just suddenly gone from absolute obscurity to like Spurs key player, and I don't know what that means in terms of him playing the double, because I don't really know the manager that well yet. I would guess yes, but it'd be purely a guess.
What's the latest on Højbjerg?
He was on the.
He came on yesterday. Yeah.
Yes,
there was rumours of him leaving one there, but he came on for Sarr yesterday. I think all these players, if they can get into, I don't know how many points Bissouma scored yesterday, but I know he did well last week, didn't he?
He got 5 yesterday, 6 the week before.
It's a good average for 2.5 million, isn't it? Really good. and they've had 2 hard games as well against Brentford and United. Spurs' run now is insane, so he's going to get a lot more passing and all this sort of stuff as well now. So
Yeah, 8 tackles in 2 games.
he's one for Sky.
He's had a few worldies as well, I think, hasn't he? Over in the past, he does love a shot outside the box.
Yeah, I think he's going to be, if he stays fit, a superstar for Spurs this season. An absolute superstar. And he's really cheap. He could be an enabler, but as I say, the way it's going, I'm not even sure we'll need enablers personally, because there's so many cheap players, aren't there, at the moment?
Yeah. Any more questions from the from YouTube, Scott?
No, that's it. That's it for the questions.
Cool. All right. Well, let's go on to everybody's been waiting for, which is the mini league top 10s in the cash league. Ben, do you want to read this one out?
Yep. 10th place we have H Jones. 9th place we have Lee Hooper. 8th place C Sharky. 7th place L Greaves. 6th place Paul McNulty, Fergie's partner from the Sky Pod.
Come on, bud.
5th place Jay McGow. 4th place Matt Woolley. 3rd place B McLaren. 2nd place our very own Scott Harris.
Get in.
And top of the shop N. Lindsay.
Well done.
Well played, lad. Superb.
Scott, can you do the honours with the Patron League?
Yep. In 10th place, we have Jay Payton. In 9th, we have G Paul. In 8th place, don't know if we should read him. He's not here. Anthony Sutcliffe. In 7th, we've got W Christmas. In 6th, we have, that's Lee Hooper. In 5th, we have D Williams. In 4th, we have Jay Bevan. In 3rd place, we have N Wisby. In 2nd, is that Andy Barnett?
Yeah. It is Andy Barnett, yes.
Andy Barnett. And then in 1st place, I recognise the name there, Ryan Driver. In 1st place. Well done.
James's partner in the tag team.
He is. And
you got one in the end.
He's actually having a storming start to the season because randomly, it was a last-minute tag team partner. I wasn't sure what I was going to get, but I'm very happy so far because he's absolutely storming it, which means, I'll read out the tag team leaderboard.
Random. You planned that. That was strategic. You were planning, vetting them all.
In 10th, we've got Connor Story and Dream Team Prof. In 9th, Tim Barry and Dan Sherwood. There's a heavyweight partnership there.
Ooh, just.
In 8th, we've got Luke High and Charlie Luciano. 7th, Joe Slater and Mark Wright. 6th, Jake Sylvester and Sam Taylor. 5th, Anthony Sutcliffe and Andy Barnett, the Blackburn Rovers duo. In 4th, we've got Matthew Walcock and Andrew Haynes. 3rd, Tom Brindley and Aman Tatner, another heavyweight partnership. 2nd, Lewis Wright and Matthew Kent. And at the top, me and Ryan. Ryan should take most of the credit for that because he's had a storming start to the season. Thanks,
Well
Ryan.
done, guys.
Well done. I just put Fergie and Paul McNulty and Fergie's one in there just so that people can see they're in 18th at the moment, but it's still early days. I'm sure those.
Yeah, we're pacing ourselves, we are, boys.
Yeah,
we'll let a new lot think you're going to run away with it, and then we'll just we'll stay behind. We'll strike at the right time.
I'm not taking anything for granted. I'm sure you'll be up there or thereabouts by the end of the season.
But just to mention as well, everyone can have a look at this leaderboard. It's been put on ffstuff.co.uk now, so you can check that leaderboard out.
Thanks, Scott.
Just one comment that I've just pulled up on the screen there. I think we should shout that one out.
Oh,
Sean Siddle says, "Hello, lads from Florida. It's only 4:30 p.m. there. He's going to listen from the start, and he said it's nice to see Fergie back on."
Nice one, Sean. Hope you're
Cheers,
enjoying your
Sean.
holiday. Assuming you're on holiday.
He's put the beers there.
Yeah.
He's in the same time zone as myself. Right, Ben, I'm going to hand over to you for a new feature.
Yeah, we've got a little quiz for you. Quick quiz. It's called Who Are Ya? Who Are Ya?
Yeah, the sound effect didn't work, but yeah, you
Then it
filled in.
works. That's why I shouted it.
Yeah.
But basically, I'm going to give you a few clues, and the people in YouTube as well, the listeners, comment in the comments. Who do you think it is? Right, and if you guys want to have a guess, just shout out names.
Okay.
No Googling.
Right. He was born on the 14th of March, 1979, and he's aged 44. So, sorry, before I go into this, these are like a Premier League legend. You've got to guess who it is.
Okay.
Right.
Age 44.
Yep. Yeah, and he played in the Premier League between 1997 and 2014, on and off. So he moved away.
I'm able to have a guess.
Yeah.
Thierry Henry.
No.
Oh.
Right. He scored 14 international goals in 69 games. Any guesses in the comments yet?
None. I froze.
No, nothing I can
Right.
see.
He won 2 Premier League titles with 2 different teams and 3 FA Cups. Right. He scored 125 goals in 364 games with 55 assists in the Premier League.
How many goals, sorry?
125 goals in his Premier League career. Someone's guessed Bex.
It's Crouch.
No. He's got a Premier League with 2 different teams.
Oh.
So he can't be Bex.
It's not Crouch, is it, Ben?
No.
It's not rather Robin Van Persie, is it?
No.
Oh, we've got someone's mic. Oh,
Next
someone's
one.
mic was going then.
He's also played in India, China, Turkey, France, and Spain. Right. He was born in France in Le Chesnay. I hope I'm saying that right.
Anelka?
You got it. Nicholas
Yes.
Well done.
Now
Well
it's making
done, mate.
sense now. Now you can listen back, you think.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say he was born in France straight away because it
Yeah, that was the giveaway.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, played for West Brom, Bolton, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City in the Premier League.
Mr. Money.
He's played some weird places in his career. He's won the Serie A. He's won the Turkish Super League as well. The Champions League with Real Madrid.
Is he still going? Where's he at now?
I think he was managing not long ago, but I don't think he's managing anyone now. He was managing in India.
Oh.
Okay, cool.
Right then. We've got a little giveaway from the Fantasy Football Hub, a premium membership. Can you guess who's going to score the most points next game week in game week 3? If you can comment on the in the comments in this live podcast, or comment on the Twitter as well when we publish it in Can't get any words. Publish it on YouTube and on Twitter. So yeah, just put your comments in there, and we'll pick a winner. Whoever gets it right. If not, no one gets it right. Roll on to the next game week 4.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Thanks, Ben.
Who are you guys going for? Who do you think's gonna be the highest scorer next week?
Wow.
I'm going in Buemo.
Son. We can't win.
No.
I'll go Jackson.
I was going to go Jackson. Let's go for Sterling.
Oh, nice one.
We've got our first entry, I think, here.
Yeah.
Sean's backing me.
Yeah.
Sonny.
Good shout, Sean. Cool. Thanks, guys. Okay, so thanks ever so much for coming on, Fergie. It's nice to have you back on with us. Been a pleasure as always. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Ben. If anyone wants to find us on Twitter, they can get us at Dream Team Tonic. My Twitter handle is James A. Fricker. Ben is DTT Tonic Ben, and Scott is Dream Team Prof. Thanks, guys, for coming on, and we'll call it a night. Good night.
Thank you, guys. Speak soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.